Hey everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who's subscribed lately. We've just cracked 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is a pretty massive milestone. Yeah, we're very excited. And in this video, we're going to be talking about pinheads and having too many of them. So yeah, it sounds like a little bit of a weird issue, but it is an issue. And it's just also something we've learned as we've started to get more and more crickets breeding, and how to actually deal with having too many pinheads and just how to keep as many pinheads alive as possible, because that is a real issue that you actually have. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so it does sound like a bit of a weird issue, but pinheads can be super complicated, and we're forever just learning with our crickets, and we're learning so much about pinheads as we go, and we actually start to have a bigger population and crickets are really increasing. So, you know, we've obviously got our breeders down here and then in the container next door as well. But, you know, there's a few in there. There doesn't look like there's many in here because I'm making a bit of noise. But, you know, what ends up happening with the crickets is, since we've been using these new breeding soils, let me get one out for example. Where's a good one? Not that one, it's obviously running out of eggs, but let's just take this one just here, for example. You can see all the little white eggs all on the side, so there's a decent amount of crickets in there, and every single container in here nearly has the same amount of eggs in it. Like, it's pretty incredible that we're getting that many pinheads. But what we're finding is sometimes, you know, if I look in here real quick, you know, the crickets there's so many all through here. Like, take you down here, there's a bunch of crickets all in there on the ground. Like, they're forever. Like, you look at them on the water feeder on the edge here. Like, we're really getting some really high numbers of pinheads. But what happens, they get to about 2 weeks old, well, not even that, maybe a week old, and some tubs we're noticing there's a massive drop off, and we're like, why is that? You know, and we actually, if I take you in here, see all those little black, well, like they're actually dead crickets in between the grain. That's all dead pinheads. This is one of those tubs that just didn't work out for us. And we've been running some trials to actually making sure, and there's still crickets in here, don't get me wrong. Like, if I lift up that, like, there's still crickets all on there, but there's just not as many as what there should be. You know, there should be upwards of 10,000 in this tub, especially when you start looking in here and you look how many crickets are all along there. Like, that's a lot of pinheads. These guys are just being born today, look how white they are. So, but yeah, and we're noticing a massive drop off in population. So what we've actually had to change is we have to change our cricket setup. Now, what you can do is you can actually just have less breeders in here. So we've obviously packed this full of containers that we're breeding. So, you know, we could half the number of breeding soils that we have in here and just not let our crickets breed, which is fine too. And then that way we won't have as many crickets in here. But what they're essentially doing is they're running out of space. So you can see this pile just down this corner here. That looks really impressive. There's heaps of crickets there, but the problem is they don't have enough food or space. So what they end up doing is just dying. So the way that we combat this is we actually just put a couple egg cartons on there. So if I just grab, where's an egg carton down here? Grab this one just here. And all we have to do, it's a really, really simple thing, is we actually just put an egg carton down on top of it, because then they can actually crawl up onto the egg carton, and you know, a few crickets might get crushed there. But that's a big, big factor that we've actually had to put in place to making sure that the crickets don't get overpopulated and overcrowded. So I'm gonna have to put a few along here. So yeah, what we've found with the pinheads is they're just running out of space because we have too many. So there's going to be a point in time where we actually just have to cut back on the amount of breeders that we have, but we're really interested in seeing how far we can actually push it to see just how many crickets we can really get in one of these bins. And we're definitely starting to find the limit with it now. So the other thing that we've changed as well, you would have seen in a previous video, we started to set the bins up where we've got egg cartons actually set up more so like this, where all the breeding soils are there, and we've also put food spread out around the container, just so when the pinheads are born, they can just jump straight to the food. And it's really important those first like 3 days, 4 days, where they're quite precious, to actually get some food and get their exoskeleton hardened. And the way they do that is by making sure they have enough food and water. So we've actually also put in water feeders a lot earlier, and you know, take it from this bin up here, number 5. They really do need the water, because you look at them all sitting on there trying to drink out of the water. So what we're finding is we just need to make sure we're spreading the oranges out, spreading the food out, and then also increasing the amount of egg cartons that we've got in there, because you can already see on this one just here, look how many crickets are there. So we're starting to find the limits on the farm with just how many crickets are actually hatching and being able to survive in the bins. So yeah, it's pretty crazy to think that we're actually only just now starting to realise the limits of our cricket farm. The other thing is, I see a lot of people, they comment on the videos and they ask about, like, why don't we put like a fly screen or like a netting over top of the breeding soil? And the reasons why people put the fly screen or the netting over top of the breeding soil is because they think that the males are going to eat all the eggs, which there's no doubt that they definitely do, because they're crickets and they pretty much eat anything. And the crickets do definitely eat the eggs, but the thing is, we've never put the nets over top of the breeding soils, and we have our bins looking like this, where it is absolutely just like full of pinhead crickets. So we're not really too concerned about putting the actual netting over top of the soils, because it takes up a lot of time. So if you were to like have to pack up all the breeding soils and put them in here and then put the netting on top, you're just wasting time. I think that's what it always comes down to. So yeah, for people who are trying to breed pinhead crickets and trying to get the best bang for their buck, definitely in the early stages, if you're worried about your population, you can definitely put some nets over top. But when you get to a stage like this, you actually nearly got too many pinheads for what you actually need the crickets for. So yeah, we're really excited to see how this bin goes. Just remember it, bin number 5 for future references. I'll do more updates with how this bin is actually going in the next few videos to see if these egg cartons on the side here actually help with keeping the population, because obviously in this tub you can see there is next to nothing, but then the 2 below it are also packed. So, or 3 below it are. So yeah. Okay, that's everything for this video. It's just a quick video explaining about how we've kind of got a little bit of an issue with too many pinheads at the moment, and we're just trying to find ways of keeping all the pinheads alive as best possible. So in summary, we've got more egg cartons, we've got the water feeders going in earlier, and then trying to spread out the oranges. And then obviously putting the food around the container before even they hatch. That's just what we're finding works really, really well. So you can definitely try that out on your farm. And yeah, thank you everyone for the 1,000 subscribers, that's huge. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.